It has been an absolutely dramatic last couple of days in world sport. The International Olympic Committee has banned the Russian Olympic Committee, meaning that there will be no official Russian contingent at the 2018 Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang. Russia, remember, was found guilty of state-sponsored doping by as many as 3 independent commissions looking into the matter, although an olive branch was extended to clean athletes who can prove a dope-free track record to participate in the Olympics as neutrals. Joining me now is India's most famous Winter Olympian, Shiva Keshwan, who has qualified for his 6th Winter Olympics in a row and is also the head of the Olympians Association of India. Shiva, thanks for joining us. How do you first of all react to this unprecedented step that the IOC has taken?
Yeah, hi Rahul. It's unprecedented, that's for sure. But so was the scale of this doping scandal in Russia. And as an athlete, clean sport is very, very important to all athletes. Fair sport. So we're happy that the IOC has taken very, very serious note of the scale of this scandal, and the reaction has come accordingly, in the same proportion. It has taken some time because the initial scandal broke out in 2015 when a doctor of a forensic Russian laboratory, he turned whistleblower, and he gave all this information. And the IOC has had enough time right now to do the due process and to have a number of commissions and reports on this. And so this announcement, which has come right now, it is after a really, really intense deliberation process.
As an athlete yourself, Shiva, did you feel cheated when you came to know that the athletes that you were competing against were part of a state-sponsored doping program? 25 Russian athletes have faced censure in the last month alone. That is 11% of the total Russian contingent at the Sochi Olympics. That is a staggering number.
Yes, it is a staggering number. And, once you talk about institutional doping, then it's very difficult to draw the line that who is actually, are the athletes doing this knowingly? Are they participating in a program unknowingly? But definitely it's not fair to any of the other athletes in the world that other people are being able to use such an unfair advantage. And that's what the ideal of sport is all about. And, that's why many times whenever I speak to people about the Olympic Games, it's not just winning that is important. It is how you do it. It is the struggle, it is the fight, it is the ideas that go into it. And this has to be understood in sport. And it's very important for even us, India as a country, to understand that, what kind of education goes behind actually competing. And the means do have a big importance, when you're justifying your end goal.
Shiva, there is a sense in some quarters that the IOC has perhaps let Russia off a little easy. Clean athletes, of course, have been allowed to compete as neutrals. A $15 million fine was imposed. But crucially, you had President Thomas Bach talking about this being the end of this entire episode, and Russian officials celebrating that this was the last of the sanctions against them.
Yeah, well, it's a very complicated process. Actually, since it started in 2015, that's already quite some time back. It wasn't properly addressed during the Rio Games, although there were calls for more comprehensive action in Rio. But the IOC didn't do that because you really need solid proof, and you need time for this due process. At the same time, I remember in the 2014 Olympic Games when India was disqualified from the IOC for ethics codes violations. That had nothing to do with me or with the other Indians who were competing. So the IOC gave us a channel in which to go and represent our country under the IOC flag, and then of course we were reinstated and the national flag came back in. And but the point here is that athletes who practice for years, maybe their whole life, to make it to the Olympic Games. Unless there's proof that this athlete was involved in doping, then he should be banned, and often he's banned for life. But otherwise, an athlete shouldn't bear the brunt of these kind of problems, which is a systemic issue actually.